The Small Town Dreamer. Once upon a time, in a very quiet and small town called Willow Creek, there lived a young man named Jack. Willow Creek was a place where everyone knew each other. People there were simple and kind, but they did not have big dreams. Most people worked in the local fields or the small grocery store. Jack was different. He was 21 years old, tall, and always had a notebook in his hand. Jack did not want to work in the fields forever. He had a big dream. He wanted to be a successful writer. He wanted to write stories that moved people's hearts. He wanted to see his books in the windows of big city bookstores. However, Jack's life was not easy. He did not have much money. His clothes were old, and his house was very small. Every day, Jack worked at the town's only grocery store. He moved heavy boxes of apples and oranges. He cleaned the floors until they were shiny. He was always tired when he finished work at 6 p.m. But Jack did not go home to rest. After work, Jack went to his small room and sat at his old, wooden desk. This desk was a gift from his grandfather. On the desk, there was an old typewriter. Jack sat there for hours. He wrote stories about magic, about love, and about adventure. Sometimes, he wrote until 2 a.m. He loved his stories, but he was also very afraid. He looked at his pages and thought, will people like my work? Am I a good writer, or am I just dreaming? He was lonely in his dream, but he did not stop. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 1. 1. Dreamer, a person who has big ideas for the future. 2. Successful, achieving a goal or becoming famous and rich. 3. Grocery store, a shop that sells food and small things for the home. 4. Typewriter, an old machine used for writing letters and books. 5. Afraid, feeling fear, being scared of something. The first rejection. One sunny Tuesday, after 2 years of hard work, Jack finished his first book. It was 300 pages long. He felt very proud. He looked at the thick stack of paper and smiled. This is it, he said to his cat, Barnaby. This is the start of my new life. Jack saved his money for a long time to pay for postage. He sent his book to 10 different publishers in the big city. He spent all his savings on envelopes and stamps. Now, he had to wait. The waiting was the hardest part. Every day, when Jack came home from the grocery store, he ran to his mailbox. For the first 2 weeks, the mailbox was empty. Jack felt nervous. Maybe they lost my book, he thought. Finally, 3 weeks later, a letter arrived. It was a large, white envelope. Jack's heart started beating very fast. His hands were shaking. He sat on his porch and opened the letter carefully. He read the first line, Dear Jack, thank you for sending us your book. However, we do not want to publish it at this time. Jack felt a sharp pain in his chest. He felt very sad. It's okay, he whispered to himself. There are 9 more publishers. But the next week was a disaster. Every day, a new letter arrived. And every letter said the same thing, no. We are not interested. Your story is not for us. By Friday, Jack had 10 rejection letters on his desk. He felt like a failure. His best friend, Sam, came to visit him. Sam said, Jack, look at reality. You are a waiter and a grocery worker. Writing is for people in the city, not for us. Get a normal job and be happy. Jack looked at his rejection letters and felt like crying. But deep in his soul, he heard a very small, quiet voice, do not give up yet. This is only the beginning. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 2. 1. Publisher, a company that prepares and sells books. 2. Savings, money that you keep and do not spend. 3. Nervous, feeling worried or anxious. 4. Rejection, not accepting someone or something. 5. Disaster, a very bad event or situation. The coldest winter. The winter that year was the coldest in the history of Willow Creek. Snow covered the streets, and the wind was very strong. Jack's small house was very old, and the windows had holes. It was freezing inside. Jack was also struggling with money. He lost his job at the grocery store because fewer people bought food in the winter. He had almost no money for food or for heating. He had to decide, should I buy bread or should I buy coal for the fire? Most nights, Jack sat in his room with 3 blankets around his shoulders. His fingers were blue because of the cold. It was very difficult to hit the keys on his typewriter. But he did not stop. He started a second book. This story was about a young boy searching for a lost treasure in a cold land. Jack felt like that boy. One terrible night, his small heater broke completely. The temperature in his room fell to 5 degrees. Jack was shivering. He wanted to go to his neighbor's house and ask for help, but he was too proud. He put on his winter coat, his hat, and his gloves. He sat at his desk and kept writing by the light of a small candle. He wrote about hope. He wrote about the sun. He wrote about the feeling of success. He was physically cold, but his imagination kept him warm. He remembered what his father told him when he was a child: the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 3. 1. Struggling, having a very difficult time with something. 2. Freezing, very, very cold. 3. Coal, a black rock used for making fire and heat. 4. Shivering, shaking because you are cold or scared. 5. Dawn, the first light of the morning when the sun rises. Moving to the city of dreams. In the spring, Jack made a big decision. I cannot stay in this small town anymore, he thought. I need to go where the books are made. He sold his old bicycle and some of his furniture to get money for a bus ticket. He packed a small suitcase with his clothes. In another bag, he carefully placed his typewriter and his 2 manuscripts, the first book that was rejected and the second book he wrote in the cold winter. He went to say goodbye to his father. His father was an old man with kind eyes. He was the only person in the town who never told Jack to stop. He hugged Jack and said, "My son, the city is a big place. It can be lonely. But remember, the road to success is always under construction. Do not fear the obstacles." Jack got on the bus. He looked out the window as Willow Creek disappeared. He felt a mix of excitement and terror. When he arrived in the big city, he was shocked. There were thousands of cars, tall buildings that touched the clouds, and people everywhere. Everyone was in a hurry. Nobody looked at him. Jack found a very small room in a dangerous part of the city. The room was above a noisy restaurant that smelled like fried fish and onions. To pay the rent, Jack found a job as a waiter. He worked from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. He was on his feet all day. His legs ached, and his back was painful. But every night, when the city was finally quiet, he sat by his window and wrote. He watched the lights of the city and dreamed of his name on a billboard. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 4. 1. Manuscript, a book or document that is not yet printed. 2. Obstacle, something that blocks your way or makes things difficult. 3. Terror, great fear. 4. Shocked, very surprised. 5. Ache, a continuous, dull pain in the body. The turning point. 1 year passed in the big city. Jack was exhausted. Being a waiter was very physical work. His hands were often burned from hot plates, and his mind was tired from the noise. But Jack had a secret weapon, his imagination. Whenever he felt sad, he imagined his characters talking to him. He decided to write a third book. This book was different. It was not about magic or treasures. It was about a man who failed 50 times, but tried for the 51st time. It was a story about Jack himself, but he changed the names. He wrote about the cold winter in Willow Creek, the rejection letters, and the smell of fried fish in his tiny room. He wrote with deep passion. Sometimes he cried while typing because the memories were so real. One Tuesday afternoon, he went to a small, new publishing house called Golden Books. It was a tiny office with books everywhere, on the floor, on the chairs, and on the ceiling. He left his manuscript on the desk and walked away. He did not expect anything. He was used to the word no. 2 weeks later, Jack was serving coffee to a busy customer. His phone rang in his pocket. He excused himself and answered. "Hello, is this Jack?" a kind woman asked. "Yes, this is Jack," he replied, cleaning his hands with a towel. "I am Sarah, the chief editor at Golden Books. I stayed up all night reading your story. I cried when I reached the end. Jack, your story is powerful. We want to publish it immediately." Jack felt the world stop. The noise of the restaurant disappeared. "Are you serious?" he whispered. "Very serious," Sarah laughed. "I think the world needs this story." Vocabulary Focus Chapter 5. 1. Exhausted, very, very tired. 2. Secret weapon, a special skill or thing that helps you succeed. 3. Passion, a very strong feeling of love or excitement for something. 4. Editor, a person who checks and prepares books for publishing. 5. Immediately, right now, without waiting. Success is a journey. The book was published in June. At first, Jack was nervous. On the first day, only 5 people bought the book. Jack felt a little bit sad. Maybe I was wrong, he thought. But then, something magical happened. One famous blogger read the book and wrote a post about it. She said, "This book saved my life. It taught me to never give up." Suddenly, everyone wanted to read Jack's story. By August, Jack's book was in every bookstore window. People were talking about it on the subway, in cafes, and on television. Jack was no longer a waiter. He went to the restaurant and said goodbye to his boss. He gave a big tip to all his waiter friends. By December, the book was the #1 bestseller in the country. Jack was now famous and wealthy. But he did not change. He still wore his old hat. He went back to Willow Creek to visit his father. When he arrived, the whole town was there to meet him. Even the people who told him to get a normal job were smiling and clapping. Jack took his father to a beautiful new house he bought for him. He sat at his old, wooden desk in his old room for one last time. He touched the rejection letters. He realized that those letters were not walls, they were the stairs that helped him climb to the top. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 6. 1. Blogger, a person who writes stories or news on the internet. 2. Subway, an underground train system. 3. Wealthy, rich, having a lot of money. 4. Bestseller, a book that many people buy. 5. Stairs, a set of steps for going up or down. Advice to the world. Today, Jack is 35 years old. He has written 10 books, and all of them are successful. But he does not spend all his time writing. He travels to many countries. He visits schools, universities, and even prisons. He talks to people who feel hopeless. The world is a difficult place, Jack tells the students. You will hear no 1,000 times. You will feel cold, you will feel hungry, and you will feel alone. Your friends might laugh at your dreams. You might want to throw your typewriter out the window. He looks at the young faces in the audience and smiles. But remember the bird in the park. Remember the cold room in the winter. Your dream is like a small seed under the snow. It is waiting for the spring. You must protect it. You must give it water every day with your hard work. He always ends his speech with the same powerful message that changed his life: failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a part of success. If you fall, get up. If you fail, try again. So, please, whatever you do, do not give up yet. Your story is just beginning. Vocabulary Focus Chapter 7. 1. Hopeless, feeling that things will not get better. 2. Audience, the group of people who are watching or listening. 3. Seed, a small thing from which a flower or tree grows. 4. Protect, to keep someone or something safe. 5. Opposite, completely different from something else.